Preparing to go live. Loading. All right, so we are preparing to open the meeting. I'm pressing the buttons to make sure everything is working. Looks like YouTube is on. We are preparing to open the meeting. I'm pressing the buttons to make sure everything is working. Hey,
Hear an echo.
there's an echo from me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you said the same thing
Oh.
4 times now.
Hear an echo
Oh,
5
good.
times.
And my imaginary friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an echo from you. Or now we're
Wait,
answering.
what was that? I missed what you
We're
said.
answering the echo now.
1 second, I start the stream on Telegram, then I'm gonna mute myself too.
I missed what you
We're
said.
answering the echo now.
It's like deja vu.
Deja vu,
It's like
yes.
deja vu. There I am myself again. All right, I am muting myself.
That's hilarious. It was like deja vu all over
We can
again.
still hear him. Just kidding.
Oh gosh. Can we though?
I feel like I'm hearing.
Does anyone else have their streams on? Can we though? No?
I feel like I'm hearing.
Does anyone else have their streams on? What about you, Larry? No, not even on
Well,
the computer?
Maybe.
It's
No.
Larry.
I knew it.
Uh,
Larry.
Larry.
Come on, Larry.
Larry.
yeah, I know what. I'll try this.
I knew it. Larry.
Larry.
Come on, Larry.
Go to my Telegram as well.
Maybe
Any
don't.
moment now.
You want to switch it off?
Any moment now.
No.
Switch it off. Switch it off. Okay, it's
That
good.
feels better.
That's
Yeah.
Oh.
It was Larry. Of course.
I was wondering. I was like, this is like deja vu, deja vu, deja vu, deja vu.
Oh
was
my
quite fun.
goodness.
That is hilarious, but now we are live. Obviously, everything is working everywhere. And so we are ready to start. Ashley, take it away.
Fabulous. Woo, thank you, Ilie. Awesome. We're so excited to be here. Welcome, everybody, to the launch party for Nelia Ben's latest novel, Team Whisper. Hi, Larry. Hi, Anelia.
Hi.
Hi there.
Welcome to our panelists. Hi there. All right, to get us started, we are going to be listening to the first 2 chapters of Anelia's latest book, Team Whisper. This is going to be a live stream right now, so stay tuned because we're going to get this peek into the first 2 chapters of the book. Then we'll have a following interview with our panelists here and Anelia by this opportunity, listening through the 2 chapters, and then at the end we'll have that interview. An exciting note to add here is that if you're listening, you're going to get an opportunity to also get a gift. So basically, if you purchase Team Whisper before the end of this call, you can get a gift that comes with it. This gift can be found by sending your purchase receipt, a notice, over to Ilie. You want to send it over to Ilie at... Oh, Ilie, I lost your email. Ilie, ineliabenz.com. So if you go to ibenznovels.com/novels and purchase Team Whisper today, before the end of this call, you can get that gift, sending that receipt over to Ilie. All right, so we've got this exciting gift that we announced. We're pretty much ready to go at this point. There is a note to make before we start listening that this preview is rated PG-13 for strong language, sexual innuendo, alcohol, and drug abuse. This book is intended for adults and deals with adult issues of power and the ways we block our memory, skills, and abilities. Okay, so with all of that said, we're ready. We want to listen to the first 2 chapters. Ilie, take it away.
All right, thank you. I'm gonna share the audio now, and I'm gonna wait for you to give me a thumbs up that you can hear it.
Team Whisper, a novel by Analia Benz, narrated by Gary Mahome. Yes, this story is indeed a novel. However, it is based on true people and events. I have changed locations, roles, and created supporting fictitious characters and scenarios for them to interact with. This novel is dedicated to Monkey, Weasel, Gazelle, and Bear, as well as Little Panther. I hope you all get to read it and find your way home if you haven't already. I wanted to explore what it would have looked like if this wonderful group of children had recovered all their memories and skills as adults, organized themselves, and truly embodied what they all thought they were as kids, superheroes to the people of Earth. This book is also dedicated to all the kids and young adults who went through or are going through the MK Ultra projects, as well as the school. I have met many of you. You are seen, and you are acknowledged. I hope this book shows you the way out of victimhood. I use the term MK Ultra to depict the many projects around the world which make sleeper agents and living weapons. The school, not its real name, was developed to create an atmosphere that convinced strong and unbreakable psychic children that they could become real-life superheroes of Earth. This book is written in a way that does not feed the energy of victimhood, but instead breaks through it and allows the individuals to see how others have journeyed through their trauma and into happy and empowered lives, a journey anyone on Earth can join on and complete. Strong language is used, and it is not politically correct. It is, however, a tool of inspiration and empowerment. Of course, as it is one of my books, it is also a love story. I, Benz. Chapter 1. Squirrel. Something was banging at the window. He opened his eyes, rubbed them, focused, and looked to his right. A huge raven. Weird. The ravens in the desert were mostly a smaller type, Chihuahuan. This one was easily over 2 feet beak to tail. He closed his eyes again and felt sobriety trying to wake him up. Not today, he said out loud and sat up, pushed his long hair off his eyes and looked around. There was no raven at the window. To his left, a naked woman, about his age in her early 30s. Oh, shit, he moaned and got out of bed, no pants. Shit. He grabbed some pants from the trailer floor and smelled them. Yep, they had a few more wearings in them. He put some water in the pan and onto the stove. Coffee, he thought. In the distance, behind majestic buttes that had been photographed 1,000 times, the sun started to rise. He poured the hot water into 2 cups that were mostly clean and added some vodka to one of them. He took a good few gulps and added some more vodka and a bit more coffee, then walked to the bed at the back of the trailer. The woman was getting dressed. Sandra? Yes, her name was Sandra. It was good manners to remember the woman's name. Here you go, some coffee, he said, handing her the second cup. She smelled it and handed it back. It's okay. I have some coming. He was puzzled. My ride is coming. I ordered some coffee, too. I got one for you as well, black. Oh, yeah, well... He pulled the old dusty curtain out of the way so she could look out. I don't think anyone is coming. The woman, Sandra, looked out. Oh, shit. Where the fuck are we? She looked back at him. Oh, she said as it dawned on her that she may have slept with the wrong guy. Are we at the reservation? Are you an Indian? Native American, he corrected her. You don't look Indian. Native American. Oh, right. Yes, sorry. I forget the politically correct term. Yes, you don't look Native American. Josh tracks bears, he said and bowed. Sobriety knocked on his brain, so he took another swig of coffee. Those rides don't come this far into the res. I'll drive you to town. She got up, reached under the window, and he saw she had been charging her phone. She pulled the charger out, put it in her handbag, and looked at the phone screen. It's on its way. He didn't know what to say or do. Usually, he would drive the woman home or to town, back to the bar sometimes, but waiting with her in his trailer for a ride that would never arrive was a first. He walked back to the kitchen and looked in the fridge, wondering if he should try to make her breakfast or something. There was nothing edible in there. He closed the fridge door. That's no way to treat a woman, his grandmother's voice rang in his ears. He took another swig from his cup. Oh, the tracker just vanished. I don't see the car getting closer anymore, the woman said. Listen, Sandra, It's best that I take you back. If we see a car coming the other way, I'll flash them and we can check to see if it's your ride. It's Ruth. My name is Ruth, but it was sweet of you to think you remembered my name. Very cute. Listen, I don't mean to be rude, but maybe you can tell a girl you're an Native American next time, before you bring them out to the middle of nowhere. Tall, dark, and handsome doesn't do it anymore, huh? He said, but the woman didn't respond. She was clearly nervous and agitated. She kept glancing back at her phone as though watching it might make her ride appear again. Josh started feeling claustrophobic. He took another swig and stepped out of the trailer. The sun was a fist above the horizon now. He felt panic rise inside him. The woman followed him out, putting on her sandals on the steps behind him. He started walking toward his truck, an old Ford F-100 with a 3 on the tree. There it is, shouted the woman, Ruth, behind him. In the distance, there was a plume of dust getting closer. Whomever that was driving fast, over 100 miles per hour, and having fun. He went back to the trailer and sat next to Ruth on the steps. Listen, she started. I don't remember coming here. I remember us dancing at the bar, and that's it. It's nothing new, she added. I'm sure we had a great time. Why would you say that? I don't know. I'm not used to hanging out this long with guys in the morning, you know? I don't know what I'm supposed to say. I was trying to compliment you or something. He noticed needle marks on the back of her knees, on her arms, and her neck. Shit, he thought. He didn't want to know about her story. He didn't want to know she was an addict or hear of her habits or what she did in the morning. He took another swig and let the perception of details become unimportant. He nodded and looked at the car, which was closer now. It was a brand new black Jaguar F-Type. As it got closer, it looked like a wild animal on a hunt. It eventually reached them, slowed down, and came to a full stop. Every cell in Josh's body started ringing alarm bells. He took another swig. Something unfamiliar, unlikely was happening, and his PTSD was kicking in. That's what the quacks had told him his symptoms, voices, and visions were. The door opened. A short, thin woman got out, long black hair tied behind her back, sunglasses, carrying a tray with 2 hot drinks. She was holding a large iced coffee in her other hand. She walked up to them, handed Ruth the coffees, and took a long drink from the straw in the iced coffee. Ruth? She asked. Lorena? The woman nodded. I'm your ride, she said, finishing the ritual. The sunglasses then turned to him. He sat, unmoving, staring at her like she had come out of some alternative reality, where Jags with attractive young women inside drove onto the res and talked to him. Technically, she hadn't talked to him yet. A bark brought him out of his trance. Do you mind if I let my dog out? She asked him. Go ahead, he said, and watched the woman, who was dressed in black pants and shirt, go to the Jag. She opened the back door, and a fully grown standard poodle jumped out and started the important work of sniffing everything. The dog had pom-poms on its head, tail, and legs. It looked ridiculous. What's her name? His name is Fufu. Josh shook his head disapprovingly. Suddenly, Fufu bolted and ran into the distance. The sunglasses turned back to Josh. You got squirrels around here? I didn't think there were squirrels in the desert. Josh choked on his coffee. Images that had plagued his mind for years flashed before him. Him running with 4 other kids in black armored suits. He could feel the weight of equipment on his back, and he carried what looked like a sci-fi gun. A voice, the same voice as this driver had, saying, Keep up, squirrel, you can do it. You can ride in the front, the woman told Ruth, opening the passenger door. My dog takes the back. I didn't think you drivers were allowed to bring dogs in your cars, Ruth said. We drivers don't come onto the res either, but here we are. You can always refuse the ride and try to get someone else in here. No, I don't mind dogs. I was just surprised. Josh watched Fufu, the cartoon poodle, disappear into the distance. He wanted them to leave, but he couldn't exactly make them go until the dog got back. The woman walked around to the driver's door, opened it, put down her iced coffee inside, and pulled out a leash. Not much good would that do. The dog was gone, he thought. He felt his senses heightened and his sight focused on her hands. She was doing something with her hands, almost like typing or drawing in the air. He then saw strands of energy all around. Strands on the woman, the Jag, himself, Ruth, all of them. The rocks, the sky, the desert, strands were everywhere. He saw the woman grab one tiny little strand among all of them and pull on it. He followed the strand into the distance and saw it ended on the dog, who was now running back. I guess the squirrel got away, she said, emphasizing the word squirrel. He got up off the steps and back into the trailer, closing the door behind him. He grabbed a bottle of vodka and drank over half of it. He held onto the edge of the kitchen cabinet, expecting to pass out. For an alcoholic, he didn't really have much tolerance to alcohol, and half a bottle was guaranteed to put him out. After a few minutes, the Jag's engine started, and he heard it leave his awareness. He didn't pass out. He took another few swigs and finally felt the floor hit his face. Chapter 2. Laundry. He could use the laundromat at the res for free. It was a laundromat with a big sign above it that said, Laundry Mat. When he first arrived at the res, he had taken a photo of the name and posted it on his social media. No one laughed or even commented on it. That was over 10 years ago. Fresh off the psych ward, nowhere to live, working at a supermarket in Tucson, Arizona. Josh tracks bears? A man in a suit had asked while he stacked chili bean cans on the shelf at that supermarket. Yes, he answered, putting the last can from the box onto the shelf and turning to shake the hand the old guy was offering. The old guy spoke some words in a foreign language. Josh looked at him. He was Native American, an elder, white on the outside. Sorry, I never learned the language, he said. The old man nodded and continued in English. Your grandma died. She left you her land and trailer. You have 12 months to claim it or the tribe will take it back and keep it. Shit. I'm sorry for your loss. I grew up with your grandma and knew your mother, Rosalind. Josh nodded. He hadn't seen his grandma since he was a little boy, had forgotten she existed. His mom had taken them out of the res when she joined the army at 17. When he turned 18, he had followed in her steps. She died of an overdose soon after. What do I do to claim it? The old man opened his suitcase and handed him a thick envelope. It's all there, the instructions and procedures. Josh took the envelope and turned it over a few times. Read what's inside, all of it. Don't lose your grandmother's land. Okay. When he first got the trailer, it was still clean, well looked after, and smelled good. He had a vague memory of fry bread and melted commodity cheese and his mother and grandmother arguing at the top of their lungs. 80 acres of arid desert land, a trailer with no running water or electricity. Score. He didn't know what to expect when he first moved into Grandma's trailer. A welcoming committee? Some aunties or uncles to greet him? None of that happened. But, there again, he didn't exactly go to any of the celebrations or meetings that were advertised in neon letters outside the community hall. There were no jobs at the reservation, which meant he had to drive an hour every day to get to one of the nearest city supermarkets, where he was again stacking cans. He was in his mid-20s at the time, and people still thought he had potential for something more. He remembered those events like they were yesterday. So many years had gone by now, most of them a blur of alcoholic fog. The washing machine beeped, bringing him back to now. He lifted the baseball cap off his eyes, yawned, and pulled the curtains, bedding and pillows out of the washing machine and stuck them into the dryer, then started a new batch of washing with his clothes this time. He didn't know why, but he knew he needed a fresh start, a clean start, and he started by cleaning the trailer. He had also filled the water tank with fresh water and used it to shower every day, as well as doing his dishes, which were getting dirty from cooking for himself. The back seat of his truck was full of boxes with his grandma's clothes, shoes, and other personal items. He had never taken her stuff out of the trailer, until now. The stuff was dusty and old. He knew nothing was worth a dime and not even the Goodwill store would take it. But he needed to build himself up before throwing it all in a dumpster somewhere. He turned the machines back on, went back to his seat and pulled the cap over his eyes. Something wet touched his hand, making him jump several feet off the chair and land on the other side of the room. Foo-Foo? The cartoon dog barked at him, a playful bark, tongue out, his ridiculous tail wagging 1,000 miles a minute. The fuck are you doing here, Foo-Foo? He said out loud and walked to the door looking around for sunglasses. The poodle put his head under Josh's hand, demanding a pet. He kneeled next to the dog and let him lick his face, petting him good. The dog smelled of roses. She stank you up with perfume, huh? The dog whined. Women. Foo-Foo did a puppy bark at him and stepped out, turned and did a few turns and jumps. You want to play? Yep, the dog had said in dog language. Let's run, let's play. Loose dogs on the res were normal. Even high-end breeds running around by themselves were not unusual, but not completely the norm either. Res dogs run free. Purebreds usually didn't last long doing that. Where's your mom, boy? Foo-Foo barked twice. Follow me, Lassie says, Josh said out loud. He sensed his body doing the electric in his cells thing. He took a deep breath and reached into his pocket for some pills. He was back on his meds and clean and sober for a few days now. Closing the laundromat door behind him, he grabbed Fufu by the collar and walked down to Main Street. Most of the stores were boarded up, abandoned, and decorated with colorful graffiti. He turned the corner to Ray Street, and there was the Jag. Sunglasses was leaning against it. "Tracks Bears!" she shouted at him. He saluted. It came out of nowhere, but that's the energy she gave him. Ex-military or something. He reached her and handed her the dog. "Thanks." He was over a foot taller than her. He felt big and clumsy. Shy. "What you up to?" she asked, in what he now noticed was a foreign accent. "Laundry," he answered. "Another ride?" he asked her in return. "Yeah, word got around, I think, that someone's willing to come in." She meant the res. "Why would you do that? Come here, I mean. It's not the safest place for a little girl like you." The words came out of his mouth before he had a chance to censor them. He looked at the Jag. "Or your nice car." "How's your girlfriend doing?" "I don't have a girlfriend," he said too quickly. Then he remembered the woman he had been with when he and Sunglasses had met. "Oh, her," he added. "I don't really know her. She was a snag." "Sorry, none of my business," Sunglasses said. "Lorena," she added, extending her hand. He took her hands in his and felt an electric shock travel through it, his entire body and his brain. He pulled away fast. "Whoa, that's a lot of static electricity you carry. Must be the dryer at the laundromat needs some static sheets or something," she said, laughing. He was about to say that it was not him and it was not a static shock, but just gave a nervous laugh back and nodded. "You a veteran?" he asked. "Kind of. Nothing I can talk about." He nodded. That's when she pulled off her sunglasses. Her eyes were large, blue or green or brown, he couldn't tell. As she looked at him, he felt his body starting to shake. He rolled his shoulders and flexed his muscles, which were still toned, even after 10 years of neglect and substance abuse. "Shit, Squirrel, they did a real number on you." "What did you call me?" "Squirrel. My name is Josh, Josh Tracks Bears." "Sure it is, and mine is Lorena, not Panther at all." Josh was dizzy. He reached for the Jag to steady himself, but Fufu put himself under his hand again. The warm fur and soft pom-poms under his hand steadied him. "He's a service dog, treats PTSD, Sunglasses said. "Who the fuck are you and what do you want?" Josh said while unconsciously petting the dog. "I'm no gazelle, that's for sure, nor a monkey, a weasel, or a bear." "You can do this, Squirrel. Just another mile. Let's go." He heard the words in his mind, loud, deep voice this time, an older kid, a boy bigger than him. His name was Bear. "Panther?" Josh said as the amnesia programming started to crack. "There you are, you stupid bastard. What the fuck, man? Why did you let them break you like this?" Sunglasses, Panther, said out loud. He thought. No, not out loud, in his brain. "Fuck," he said and reached for his meds. "Sorry, I'm having a psychotic episode." "Sure you are. Take your time," Panther said and laughed. He did. He took more pills and took his time. 10 minutes of standing there, silently watching the woman, who was about his age, who he remembered being best friends with and who could talk straight into his brain. "Where's your client?" Josh asked to break the silence, looking around for someone to claim their ride on the Jag. "You are it," Panther answered. "Well, not exactly the client per se. Someone else is paying your bill. I'm not going anywhere." "Here is the thing. You just had a weird vision, like a memory, right? Was I in it? Were we kids?" "Who wants to know?" Josh answered with his own question this time. He wondered if the woman existed at all. Maybe it was all in his mind and he was talking to himself in the middle of the road. He looked around. There were some people sitting outside one of the few open stores. They were not looking at him. "I know about your military career, your stay at a psychiatric hospital, the pills you just took. You are not having psychotic episodes, Josh. Those visions are real, and I can take you to a place where they can help you recover all of them, all your memories, and recover your sanity and sense of self, too." If what the woman was saying was true, and she was real, it would explain so much of his life. He looked around again. He could decide to stay and continue as he was, or he could get in the Jag and have a beautiful woman who made his body and soul feel happy and complete, drive him somewhere with a promise to show him he wasn't crazy. "Where do you want me to go?" "California. I can't give you the exact address. It's a secret location." What did he have to lose? A couple of days in California sounded exciting. He made up his mind. "I don't need a ride. I have a truck." "That's a good point," the woman, whatever her name was, said. We better get your shit, your truck, and take it back to your place. We don't want a missing person report going up if you leave with your clothes still in the dryer. He found himself leading her back to the laundromat where she helped him collect all his clothes, folding them with him and packing them all into his truck, while all the time chatting up a storm about a school they'd attended as kids and how they'd been best friends for years. At some point during the conversation, he figured she was real. Folding blankets and curtains with an imaginary person would have been impossible. But all the stuff she was on about? He had soon given up on his sanity and hers. What did it matter if she went on about weird stuff, and his psychotic episode convinced him she was talking into his head? She was beautiful and was hanging out with him. Why would he complain? A couple of times he did wonder if she was even more crazy than he was. But something about her told him it was all good. She was fine and he was safe. After they were done packing everything onto the back of his truck, she followed him to his trailer. Fufu rode with him and kept pawing him. Every time his body started freaking out. "You really are a trained PTSD dog, huh?" he said. Fufu licked his face. It was late evening by the time he put his backpack in the trunk of the F-Type and sat on the passenger seat ready for an unknown and exciting adventure. She turned the key, put on some loud music, smiled gently, and pulled away from Grandma's trailer. Away from everything he'd known for the last 10 years.
Yay!
Wow, that was amazing.
Boom, boom.
Boom, boom. So exciting. So just as a reminder, by purchasing a copy of Team Whisper before the end of this live stream, you'll receive a special gift, which is an exclusive copy of a page from Panther's Secret Diary. So this is the only way that you can get this gift. It's not going to be available anywhere else. So to get this, you'll want to go purchase the Team Whisper book at ibensnovels.com/novels. Once you grab your copy there, you can send your order confirmation to Ilie at Ilie, which is ILIE at ineliabenz.com. And then he'll send you your bonus.
Nice.
All right, so let's dive into our questions. Hi, panelists. Okay, if you aren't familiar with our panelists, we are the panelists from Driving to the Res podcast with your favorite hosts, Anelia and Larry. With us today, we have Dr. Kara Consigli, Fred Guerin, Ileana Rojero, and myself, Ashley Swell. So, Anelia, are you ready?
We're ready. Go for it.
Larry, are you ready? Yeah.
I'm here. I'm here.
Sweet, let's do it. So, Anelia, our first question is, what inspired you to write this book?
The process has been different to other books, actually. Usually a book will come in to get written, but I have hints and stuff like that, that can happen. I mean, this thing can last a year or two. This time is slightly different in that the process came in kind of similarly. I was looking for books to read. I like to read a lot also. And I just couldn't find anything that was really good. And when eventually I usually stop looking. I start looking in the ethers for a book to write, because my process of writing is I listen to the book and then I just put down the words. It's almost like each book has its own sentiency. And I decided, oh yeah, this is good. This is great. So I'm going to start writing it. And it just happened so quickly, right? Yeah. Super quickly. Like in 3 weeks it was done. And it's like I said at the intro, it's based on true events. The school actually exists. MK Ultra exists. And some of the characters do exist, but they have never met outside of the school. So they only knew them as children, right? Each other as children. And the novel is basically what would have happened, if they had actually organized themselves and been more empowered. Yeah. So the inspiration, yeah, it just started coming in that way. I was quite surprised. Yeah. Do you remember anything else?
Yeah, it totally interrupted everything.
Yes.
We had plans to do this, to do that. We had schedules, things scheduled. You said, we're gonna just have to cancel everything because I have to write this book right now.
Yes.
It's going to take precedence over all these other scheduled things. So just letting you know. By the way, what's for breakfast?
Yes.
I need breakfast so I can write. And then lunch.
Yes.
And
then
then
dinner. And then I walk outside.
Come on, honey, you need a break.
Yeah. It was fun.
And you mentioned a really interesting point about this, like books as entities. Where does that come from? Where does this come from, this concept and the entities themselves?
I've noticed, and some other people have spoken about this, other authors and artists have spoken about it, how books come into their awareness, and if they don't put it down on paper, they go and find someone else. Yeah. And that was interesting to me because I've always wanting to improve my skills. And so I started reading author biographies and stuff when I was a kid. And also I was looking at methodologies or ways to write a book. And I couldn't resonate with a lot of this stuff, you know? Like I remember I got this book as a teenager that told you how to write a book, and you had to write the structure,
The outline.
an outline, know where the book ended, and all the characters and all the things. And then start writing chapter by chapter, what happens in each chapter. And oh yeah, it was very long-winded. And I looked and I thought, well, I mean, maybe it works for other people, but I just close my eyes and hear it. And the characters, even the characters that are based in real people, they'll come in and talk about things, you know. And one of the interesting aspects of this book is that at an energetic level, I was stepping into the characters, you know, that are based on real people. And one of them said, no way, Jose, you know, I don't want to be in your book. So I had to I created 2 fictional characters to replace him. But the names of the
Team members.
the code names are the ones that were used, except for the one, right? One that was fictitious, completely fictitious. So yeah, that was pretty interesting.
That's super interesting. And I imagine there's a lot of authors out there who would love to learn how to do that when writing a book. That's really cool.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people do use the other method of writing an outline and everything. It works great. And I kind of know when the authors don't do that. And mostly it's about pulling yourself, like getting out of your own way to get it done. And it does feel like the book is writing itself, like you're hearing an audiobook like that. That's how it feels. And I know when I veered off because I think I have my own brilliant idea of what the characters should do. And I go off on a tangent doing something else. And then I get what people know as writer's block. Every time I look at the pages and I try to write, it doesn't work. So my solution has been delete that chapter and start again. Just tap in and see what the book wants to tell you. Works every time, every time.
Brilliant. Thanks for sharing your secrets on that. That's really cool to get a glimpse into.
Yeah. So Inelia, for those of us familiar with your other books, something you notice right away is that this book isn't like the other books you have written. It's much less light and fairy. It rather depict the gritty nature of the LiDAR paradigm. Is there any reason for that?
I was quite surprised as well when the book started coming in. Yeah, how raw and gritty the book is.
Gnarly even.
Gnarly even.
Mhm.
And what I saw immediately also was that it didn't feed those energies at all, but took the reader, or me as the writer, out of those energies, showed the way of how to get out of those energies, and didn't play into things like that some people might think that they're validated in their victimhood, you know. Didn't feed that, didn't feed victimhood, and didn't feed into the thought that bad things make you stronger, you know.
Yeah.
It's the opposite. It's like,
Opposite.
get over it, because if bad things happen to you, you can be a good person. And bad things happen to you because we're at war between the light and dark here on the planet.
Mhm.
But if you hold on to that injury, if you hold on to those scars, you are disabled.
Yeah.
So that's why the book also shows a way out, which is you're not alone, right?
Yeah, it was interesting to there is a lot of themes in the book that, wow, like, oh, this part, but it doesn't, it's just explain it. It doesn't indulge you into that, into the
Right.
theme. It's very, very nice, very well put it to, so you are aware of those themes in the third paradigm.
Yeah.
It's like you said, awareness without an indulgence in it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Hi, Nelia. Hi, everybody out there. So you described in our podcast, Driving to the Res, that there's an urgency in writing this book. Why was there so much urgency in writing this?
I wondered about that as well. I think it's twofold. One of them is we're in a situation on Earth where people really have to take control of their lives and stop giving authority to others. The book also has a lot of little gems of secrets held by the governments and shadow governments and all these type of things that are key in understanding our situation on the planet. And they're, like I said, this is a novel, okay? But from the perspective of my heritage, both European and Native American, we share information and wisdom through parables and stories. And this is what it does. So the urgency to me means that this is something we need right now on Earth. Something that needs to be seeded and shared, and people can read it, and a person can read this book and take whatever they want out of it. And it happens because I've noticed that even individuals who are awake and read the book and I ask them about a detail, they don't remember it, So each person knows what to take out of this book, what to take from it. The urgency was, like Larry said, disturbed everything.
Yeah,
We had
disrupted everything.
disrupted everything.
Which
And
it doesn't usually happen like that.
no, it doesn't. And I knew that if I didn't write this book, it was driving me nuts, right? It really was. So part of it also could be that the book was trying to come in and I was just too lazy to listen. And then it was like 11th hour and get it out there, It could be like that.
Plus, we want to know what happens with Panther.
Yeah.
I mean, we urgently want to know the rest of the story. They got in the car and they're going to California. Now what?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, thank you.
So this team of characters, so Squirrel, Panther, Gazelle, and others, they're called Team Whisper. And that's what the book is called, right? My question though is, why is the team called Team Whisper?
Because you can't talk about it with raised voices.
No, pencils up like that.
Yeah. It's part of that energy also. I've met, I remember many years ago when I first went public in 2010, the people that I used to interact with at the time, they were trying to get an interview with a couple who had been through the MK Ultra experiments. And one of them asked me, they said, can you go into this guy's Facebook page and see if he's real, if he really was there? So I opened the page, the Facebook page of this guy, the profile one. And I look at him and I'm like, oh yeah, I actually remember you I actually saw you in that program. I saw you.
Wow.
And I thought, that's cool. So I switched off the page and close it. And I told these people from these interviewers, yeah, this guy's real. He was really there. Great. A couple of days later, I get a private message from him on Facebook. Now, there's no way for anyone to know who's been looking at your profile. At least there wasn't at the time. When you were in Facebook, it's all anonymous, right? But this person sent me an IM and said, I know who you are, I remember you, and get in touch, at any time. And we're organizing a support group. It'd be great to have you here. And I looked at him, and I looked at the other organizer and thought, oh, that's really cool. I never contacted them back because I wasn't I wasn't really interested in that dynamic, right? Like support group or victim aggressor stuff or whatever. But that just shows you the level of ability that these kids had, and even as adults have, that one of them can feel another person, look at their page, and then trace back to their own page, right? So that was interesting, I thought.
Very cool. Thank you.
So there's a lot of focus working as a team through the book. Can you share more about the significance of this?
One of the things that I noticed is when I have talked about, or we look at individuals who are actively working on manifestation or free energy devices or teleportation or any of these things, normally they'll be working on their own or with just one or two people and keep everything very
Secretish.
secret. And it's like a recipe for disaster for two reasons. One of them is that you're not going to get very far in your development. And even if you do, you're going to get taken out in real life. So the team aspect gives you two things. One of them is the powers combined give you much, much more capacity and ability and skill. And it's not a woo-woo thing. It's like if I ask you about cooking apple pie, right? I want to cook an apple pie. I can do this from memory. I can look on the internet for recipes. Or if you're in my house at the time and say, hey, shall we cook an apple pie? And you say, yeah, sure. And then we start cooking together and we share the recipe. And then what comes out is the most fantastic apple pie that we could think of, right? Because it's combined our knowledges. And we might even also both look at recipes and say, oh, I like this bit from this one, or I like that bit from that one.
We could learn a whole new recipe like from Ilya and a whole
Yes.
different apple pie.
A different apple pie,
It
exactly.
doesn't even look like an apple pie, but
Right.
oh boy, is it good.
Yeah. So that's how it's, you see, it's not like woo-woo at all. It's when you combine with others, you amplify your awareness and your skills.
Preferably your frequency or
Also, oh yeah. People your frequency or
because if you
higher.
pick the wrong one, we might not even get to the apple pie. We might make it to
No.
the store and make a side trip.
Yeah.
Never quite
Go
get
to
there.
the
Yes.
Go to the drugstore
store
or the liquor store or whatever. You gotta pick the right partner.
Yeah.
Yes. It amplifies your strength.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So, back to the other subject of the MK Ultra. If someone's reading your book and they identify with the MK Ultra, like child soldier type of training experience. Is there anything that you would like to say to them?
Probably do a search and look for those guys who have a support group for the MK Ultra people. If you do feel highly identified, it's probably because it happened to you or somebody close to you. So, yeah.
I would say just look at your website, honey, and do some of your work. You have a lot of tools.
Yeah, but I think just get a support group.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, thanks.
Uh-huh.
So in the book, one of the characters has the capacity to learn other people's superhero abilities. And for example, personally, I feel like now I'm able or closer able to seeing, like, for example, the energy strands that we saw in the first couple chapters of the book in chapter 1. And first, so this is a two-part question. So first, like, is this even possible? Like, if we read the book, can we do this, map to this?
Yes. So all the special abilities or the superpowers that are expressed in the book are actually real. People can do them. Verifiable individuals have done these things. And just like any skill, yes, we can tap into it. And if we have the propensity for that skill, we can develop it for sure. So just like if somebody's musically oriented and they start watching videos of somebody playing the guitar and then pick up a guitar and start copying them, they can definitely learn how to play the guitar that way.
And was this also part of the intent of writing the book, to help people start to map to these things, or is this just like a happy coincidence?
It's a happy coincidence. It's a little side effect that's really cool to hear about.
It felt to me like it primes your imagination for how to, like, embody these skills. Like,
Yeah.
you hear people say, yeah, I'll follow the energy line, but
What does that
okay,
mean?
what does that even mean? I can't
Yeah.
even imagine what that means.
Yeah.
So it can kind of prime the pump.
Yeah.
So there's some common themes we've noticed in your books with ETs, technology like AI and nanobots. Also the larger Earth, for example. Aside from their relevance in the story, is there a larger reason why you bring these themes or elements into your writing in general?
I've noticed that even the books and short stories I wrote when I was a teenager or even younger have all these themes running. And when I look at it from that perspective, from the larger perspective of 2020 vision, it feels to me that we as a species, the human collective, we're very able and capable of bringing in the information and birthing the people that bring information that the collective needs or wants at any particular time. And it feels to me that this is the time for this information to be delivered by the human collective, for the human collective, and for those individuals who are ready to receive it, to start hearing it. And again, it's like reading about it and hearing it on a novel gives you the freedom to pick, take it or leave it. Yeah.
Like your first video game, same topically relevant. And it brings it in and you play in the video game. Remember the video game, Secret Base or whatever it's called?
Top Secret?
Top Secret, yeah.
Yeah. What do you remember about that video game?
I remember that, at the time when you wrote that game,
1980s.
1980s, the idea of underground military bases and things like that, and secret bases, and I mean, barely really thought. I was like, there's probably secret bases. It's just like, Varus thread. But as you wrote the game as it was played, it was actually taken off the market, right?
Yes.
By the secret base people.
Yes,
Yes, they
it
bought
was.
it and deleted it or whatever.
Yes.
Yes. I saw some screenshots. It was like one of those
Yes.
basic adventures, text adventure with graphics.
Mhm.
But yeah, it brings that to
The human collective.
the human collective. It's like science fiction and Star Trek, science
Yeah.
fiction and Robert Heinlein, these type visionary guys bring something that we can't even imagine and put it in our heads gives us the picture, and from the picture, start to experience more about it. Or even like you see something and follow the thread, but you didn't even know there was a thread to follow.
Yeah.
That's how I experience it.
Well, that's very exciting to imagine a light paradigm with all this technology, just like light and positive, life affirming energy.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
All right, we have to also ask, can you share with us, is there any plans for a sequel to Team Whisper?
Yes, I'm actually writing it already.
Brilliant.
And we have a working title. Do you want to share the working title?
Immortals of Earth.
Yes. Immortals of Earth.
I wonder
Wow.
who
Yes, yes.
I guess I don't know if it's too soon to ask if there's any spoilers you can share, but we're definitely excited to hear about that too.
Well,
First, listen
yes.
to the first one.
There you
Yes.
go, Team Whisper.
We have the same characters, right? And so a couple of new characters come in. But our main characters continue with us in the story. So we're gonna have Panther, we're gonna have Squirrel, Gazelle, Monkey, and Weasel. They're all gonna be still in the story.
What about Fufu?
Definitely Fufu. Yes, yes, yes. And what else?
I don't know what's the other dog's name.
Yeah, because we based it on one of our
Spaced
dogs
it. We forgot our dog's name.
in the novel.
I spaced it too. That's too funny.
Anybody remember? That's how this book works.
Daisy? No.
No.
Dang it.
Daisy.
Mm.
Her
Well,
real,
June?
her real name is Lucy.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh,
the funny thing is, though, like, we've all read this book, and I think even many of us, like a number of times, has been more than
Yes.
one that we've read.
And wrote
Team
it.
Whisper. Which is also why we're like, what about the next one?
Yeah.
So
So
everyone
yeah,
needs to get on the same page and join us, get caught up in that. Because it's definitely a mind-blowing experience reading Team Whisper.
it's also going to explore a little bit more, like the very last chapter goes into a whole new dynamic of what the team does, and it's going to expand on that quite a bit. Yeah. So
Awesome.
the last chapter of the book is like a teaser for the next book.
It's a cliffhanger for sure.
It definitely is, yeah.
Is there an urgency to write the next book?
No, there's none. No.
Sorry, guys.
So I'll do my best to do it at a reasonable
The best
time.
way to produce some urgency is to, buy your copy of this book and then
bug me.
ping me.
And
Yes.
yes.
No, yeah, we're ready. That's probably the
Yes.
best way to generate some urgency.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise,
I'm
we're just
sure
gonna have
that's
to
going to
make some-
happen as people read it,
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
for sure. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you, Anelia. Thank you, Larry. This has been such an incredible opportunity. We appreciate the chance to get to listen to the first 2 chapters of Teen Whisper.
Yay.
So, as a reminder for our listeners, for those of you who got the book already before the end of this call, or you haven't yet gotten the book, remember to go to ibensnovels.com/novels to purchase your copy of Team Whisper before we wrap up this stream. And then you'll want to send your confirmation to Ilya@aneliabens.com to get your special gift, which is Panther's Secret Diary entry, which is super freaking cool. So thank you everyone for being here. You can get your copy of Team Whisper at ibensnovels.com/novels. And we know you're going to enjoy it.
Yes, definitely.
All right. Well, I guess we'll be signing off unless Ilya, you had anything else you want to add to this before we wrap up?
No, that's it. It's perfect, and this was amazing listening to the chapters again, and like we listened to this before. It's different information this time around. So like, all of Inelia's books, every time you read them, it's a different book.
Yeah.
I know it's nuts. So
Yeah.
yeah, this one has good value, right? You can buy this book, listen to it, and I promise you, give yourself a day or two or even a week and push play again. It'll be a whole new book.
Yes.
Definitely. All right. Thanks everyone for joining. Thanks for listening. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Bye.